Hey dumplings, it's Dave Jisoo. Welcome back to my channel. Today I want to get into Jisoo and V and why people believe the two are working together on the Snowdrop set and what happened there. There's a lot of speculation online. Let's talk about it. I also want to get into a news story of a staff member calling V rude. This obviously wouldn't be true and I have a lot of thoughts on it. So, hater or not, make sure you're subscribed with the notification bell on. Grab your dumpling, tea spilling mug merch, and let's jump into it. The first thing that I wanted to get into today is what happened with Jisoo and V. First off, if you didn't know, our queen Jisoo is an actress and she has studied acting and been an amazing actress. I believe initially wanted to act and not be a K-pop idol, but perhaps the label saw her beautiful face as someone who would be perfect to be the visual of Blackpink, and that is what happened. And there's many stories like this, Jin from BTS also, which also goes to show you if you want to be successful, sometimes you have to do what you don't necessarily want to do. And not that being a K-pop idol is that awful of a career. But anyway, she finally got her acting debut and must have been so excited. She ended up debuting in a show called Snowdrop, and there's a lot of controversy on the show. Most of it has settled down and I am glad, but that is for another video. People with the release of Snowdrop have had speculation as to what was going to be in the show and how much of Jisoo was going to be used in the show. She's obviously the lead, so she has a big part in the show already, but thoughts of like, is Jisoo going to sing an OST for the show? Things like that. This was a huge speculation because why not, right? In fact, a couple of K-pop prediction tweets or accounts started to come out and talk about how they predicted this would happen. Now, it's a very smart move if it does, because there's people who just aren't interested in watching dramas or don't have the time. Obviously, listening to Jisoo's music is much easier to consume than sitting there and watching hours and hours of a TV show or movie. So Jisoo doing an OST for Snowdrop would almost put the K-drama first in everyone's minds every time a Blink decides to download the song. It would be fantastic marketing. However, nothing like this has been officially confirmed by any of YG or official sources other than these K-pop prediction pages. I'm very curious not to bash these pages, but it always feels very weird when these accounts have like hundreds of thousands of followers and their page is like just predictions. Because you have to know that they can't predict the future. Their guess is just as good as your guess, I would assume. But maybe they do know something that we don't know. And maybe they're right sometimes, which is why people follow. Other accounts started to come up with this rumor or theory that Taeyang was going to get involved. Taeyang has done OSTs before and his music style is very what they call sync music. His voice and the beats that he chooses for like his Christmas songs and even the song he did for Itaewon Class. Sync music is a song that is specifically made for commercials and movies, so songs that are very classic and go well with many different situations. For example, a lot of BTS's songs can be used for sync. Blackpink songs can be a bit more difficult because a lot of them are EDM, so Ice Cream wouldn't exactly work for a specific scene in a movie, but that's just my opinion. So people took this and the fact that a lot of these K-pop prediction pages also predict that Taeyang and Jisoo are intimately dating each other, so they write or hope that the two will be working together. Some of these posts have been taken or removed, like the accounts have been removed for some reason, and others still remain, and others spoke about how they believe the collab will happen this year. I have no idea if the show is still going on or if it will end soon. As of now, we don't see any Taeyang OST in the film or even collab with Jisoo on set, unfortunately. There was a photo of Jungkook doing an OST for Snowdrop. I found this to be interesting. It was a screenshot from Genius, which does not exist. Like, I can't find it. But it basically says that Jungkook will have an OST for Snowdrop, and just the lyrics haven't come out yet. I do believe anyone can add lyrics on Genius, so this isn't necessarily an official source, but also people can't just simply edit or Photoshop a screenshot to make it appear like whatever they want. I think it's just such a big fantasy to have BTS or a BTS member with Blackpink. While I do think it could happen one day, I don't think it's happening now. Other people are trying to figure out exactly what an OST would even sound like between Jisoo and Taeyang. And a bunch of viral videos that you have probably seen of people lowering the voice of Jisoo, like lowering the pitch, and then realizing that whoever that person is sounds exactly like Taeyang. So Taeyang sounds like Jisoo if you lower Jisoo's voice. I can't put any of the audio in here, but feel free to take a look after this video. Just do a YouTube search. It's quite shocking and funny. They're obviously not the same person, although I've never seen them in the same room together. I'm kidding. But this goes to show that their voices will probably blend absolutely perfectly together. And whatever they would make, if they ever make it in the future, will sound absolutely beautiful. I am willing to bet my life. I love V, and it always intrigues me how many things he gets involved in without actually getting involved in. There was recently a video that was published by another channel. I am not going to say the channel, but if you keep up with BTS news, you've probably seen this story. I want to clarify that I have not not discovered or broken this story myself. It has been discovered by someone else. Every time I respond to a story and give my commentary, I don't know if it's like haters or whatever, someone will send emails to the YouTube channel claiming I stole their video, which no one takes those emails seriously. The majority of K-pop news channels are like 1 to 4 minutes. My videos are like 8 minutes plus. Even if I made my video word for word their video, I would never be able to have 8 minutes. And I don't credit the channel or channels that I am addressing because if you know, you know. But I am not trying to potentially send hate. I never say anything bad, and I would never bash in the channel, but people make things up and say that I do. So I stopped crediting them. If you go back to my older videos, you'll see I credited them, but I stopped doing that. Regardless, I am just responding to this rumor and story and giving my opinion. You can't copy a news story. It's not your story. It's the artist's story. We're just all retelling it. I think this story took place when BTS was flying or on their way back to Korea, and they had flown commercial for probably a long time, since I think they usually fly private jets. But private jets are very bad for the environment, and the boys prefer to fly commercial, which already shows how amazing they are. There's apparently an app called Blind. This is a Korean app, I believe, and the app is apparently an app for professionals of a certain industry. So in order to sign up, you need official professional emails. So emails from that company, like Catherine at koreanair.com, that sort of stuff. So apparently some flight attendants had signed up, and funny enough, if you check their username, it is just keyboard splat. It's not an official username or even a real name, which does make me question if these people are even real or if the claims are legitimate, because then have real names. Even more so, I can't verify because I can't write in Korean in the search. So when you see posts or stories like this, obviously you take them with a grain of salt, because unless you speak Korean, you can't really verify. A lot of the staff apparently wrote on the app and talked about how the members were so kind, they just read books and all that. And apparently one person said that there was one idol that was rude, just like all the other K-pop idols. And people then were asking who it was, assuming it might have been Yoongi or even Taeyang. And of course, there's no evidence to who it is or even what any of the members could have done. So no one with a brain takes any of this seriously. It is of course very unprofessional, even if the customer was rude, for you to blast a specific person with their name on social media. You can't do that. That's not okay. But also, rude, just like the other regular idols, makes no sense to me. So this is also saying that the majority of K-pop idols are rude. I just don't think so. They're not raised in an environment where they would have the chance to be rude. They're going from one place to other place without time to think about anything. They're tired and everything. If they forget to say thank you or whatever, it's not necessarily rude. Just assume they're tired. Of course, you should say thank you, but if you don't, it doesn't necessarily mean you're the worst person ever. Now, we don't know what Taeyang allegedly did. Some people were saying, did Taeyang forget or whatever? And this is the issue if you imagine an idol as a specific person, like you think the idol is very bubbly and loud, and then you meet them and they're really quiet. You're going to think they're rude because they're just not as warm as you see them on TV. But on TV, they're loud and bubbly for a collective 30 minutes maybe, but in real life, you can't be quote unquote on for hours. At one point, you're going to be quieter, and you're someone who is reading or trying to be quiet. You don't want anyone to bother you. So you might give one-word answers or whatever. And it's not Taeyang's job to make sure that the flight attendant is comfortable. As long as he isn't throwing coffee at people or whatever, then he's fine. And you know how I know he wasn't? Because one, he would never do that. But also if he did that, it wouldn't be one flight attendant saying Taeyang was rude. There would be thousands of posts ranging from people in economy class, business class who heard the noise, and all the flight attendants saying Taeyang was rude. But none of that happened. People will try to bring anyone down. Taeyang is amazing. Stop this nonsense. Let me know what you think, and if you want to see more K-pop reaction videos, go to my Patreon, link below. I can't post them here due to copyright, but you can get all sorts of reaction videos and requests over there. It's a great way to support the channel even more if you would like to do that. Thank you so much for this lovely comment right here. I love you so much. There will be some videos that will pop up on screen, and I will see you over there. Bye.